show for all your latest UFC news and rumors. It's Brian Coyle. It's Sean Stanley. It's the TFM Live podcast. And it's now.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to TFM Live, the official podcast of the FullMountMMA.com. I am Brian Coyle, joined alongside Sean Stanley. We missed a week, Sean, but now we are back because last week was very hectic for both of us. And when it came to moving things around, let's put it that way. But I'm glad to be back on the air with you, talking some MMA and UFC, because, man, we kind of decided to take the worst week off humanly possible.
Yeah, we're not good planners. Definitely not.
No, not good at all.
Which I guess is why we're in this industry that we are in.
Yeah, it's pretty appropriate for what we end up doing. So let's jump into it. But if you've never heard us before, we are the FullMountMMA.com. You can find us online. We write articles, opinion blogs, analyze UFC, MMA, even Bellator fights and other promotions as well. You can find us online at the Full Mount on Twitter. If you go to YouTube, search the Full Mount MMA. We have a YouTube page as well where we take everything that we record on these podcasts and cut them up into nice little segments that you can see and listen to for your listening and viewing pleasure, all that good stuff. So let's start off with the new UFC 200 main event. We're a little late to this because we haven't been able to talk about it. We've been writing about it, but now let's talk UFC 200 main event, Daniel Cormier, John Jones. It's set in stone, hopefully. What do you think about this, Sean?
I mean, you know what? I just don't think it has the same. And I didn't like the fact that Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz was the main event because I thought a title match should, headline your UFC 200. But I don't know, man. This just doesn't give me the pizzazz that I'd want the UFC 200 to have.
Now, let me ask you this question because I wrote this in an article that you can find on our site about Conor McGregor's shadow looming over UFC 200, as it will up until that night and possibly after. Would you have felt better if this was announced as the main event before Conor McGregor was announced as the main? If Conor McGregor was never supposed to be on this card in the first place, would you feel better about this main event?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, probably, yeah. But the fact that you had, again, but a lot of things are happening around the Conor McGregor camp that's kind of, I don't want to say, hurting him or whatever, but, everybody's not as, I don't think the fans are kind of, I'm not saying they're jumping off board, but he's losing a little bit of that, that pizzazz
aura
that he had, the aura around him, just I think everybody's finding out, or not finding out, or just realizing, or maybe it's part of the master plan of Conor McGregor, but like he's not that good guy anymore, really.
No, he's gone, like, as all good guys go when it comes to combat sports and wrestling. They turn into bad guys. Yeah. This is his heel run, if you want to call it, for Conor McGregor. And he tried to force himself back on the card after being taken off. He tweeted out that thank you to Dana.
After he tried to force to make a lot of money, too. No, I mean, that was the thing.
Yeah, I mean, this was a whole weird story. Then he started taking shots at people on Twitter about pay-per-view buys and how Cormier and Jones are never going to measure up. He's right, but it's kind of a bad look. Then you get all the BS yesterday. I'm not with Mayweather and McGregor, and I'm not even going to go into that because it's such a dumb story, and so many major media outlets actually talked about it, which made my brain numb at a certain point. Mostly because that story said Conor would only take $10 million, which would be completely absurd at this point. He would want all of the money. But this is the kind of thing now. McGregor's off the card. He's not coming back to the card. So we have to take UFC 200 and evaluate it as such. To me, this is the best fight, pure fight matchup-wise, that the UFC could have to headline a pay-per-view. So I love the main event. It's taken away a little bit because of the fact that we had McGregor Diaz and now we don't. Even though we didn't like McGregor Diaz in the first place, now that it's gone. I
don't know if it's only that either, though, Brian, because John Jones didn't look like. I mean, I don't know. To me, it just. I still don't know what you're going to get here in this fight, and I just don't. I mean, again, this is me. My own personal opinion is just that just doesn't tickle my fancy, I guess is what I'm saying. Because I mean, it's like I watched that fight with Jones and nothing there stood out to me that, hey, all right, I'm going to buy the next pay-per-view he's on, even if it's for a title. I just didn't.
Well, that's understandable. But you have to take into account, number one, OSP broke his arm midway through the fight. So I think he was basically trying to survive. Jones obviously had cage rust. We had talked about it previously going into the fight, like how is he going to look? And he looked like he was still getting his bearings. But if you watch him back, the elbow, the strikes, everything that he was doing, it was John Jones. And it just wasn't pinpoint. It wasn't accurate. It wasn't turned up to 11. And I think it's a great thing for him to get that out of the way. And Cormier, who was on commentary for that fight, is really regretting missing out on that fight because he's going to get a much better, much more in tune John Jones for this.
Man, they should make you be the hype guy for this fight because I don't know if they're going to be able to sell me on this, and you're trying to. But
I'm just telling you, it's the visceral hatred between these two is legit, number one. And number two, Cormier and Jones, from a stylistic skill set standpoint, to me, is the best fight that they can put together right now. Because, I mean, McGregor's obviously the biggest draw.
But I mean, you've said a lot of times about the GSP and everything. You wouldn't have rather seen like maybe a novelty fight like that added to it instead of this?
If I had the choice between Cormier Jones or GSP Lawler, that would be really tough for me because I'm Lawler for all the love that we give him as analysts because the guy goes through freaking wars every time he fights, and every fight is fight of the night material and entertaining.
Yep.
He's not as big of a draw. And George St. Pierre coming back, we don't know how relevant GSP is to the outside viewer. Like, to people who love mixed martial arts and people who love the UFC, GSP comes back, the $60 goes on the table immediately because it's like, oh my God, George St. Pierre is back. To me, I think Jones and Cormier, as much as they did all the casual promotion, the Good Morning America stuff, that gif of everyone shadowboxing in the beginning of the TV show, as much as they want to appeal to middle America and they want these big outlets, when it comes down to it, just like when the WWE advertises WrestleMania and does all this stuff, the people who are going to buy this fight are your hardcore fans, and you might pull in casuals with your big names and all that. But you make your money off of the people who fork down their money for all of the fights or for most of the fights, or who know and are knowledgeable about all this stuff, or that go to bars and watch the fights or do all this stuff. So they have to find a perfect balance, and I think Cormier and Jones does that because you can sell the hate, you can sell to the casual audience all of that stuff that you saw on Good Morning America, and then when they're going on their media tours and all that stuff. But then to fans, when you watch from a technical standpoint, this is going to be an amazing fight. So I like the setup. Not having McGregor after having him is going to impact them because they shot themselves in the foot.
And, well, I mean, did they shoot themselves in the foot, or were they? I mean, if you're them, are you going to go and hone up to everything that McGregor wanted?
Well, this should have all been done and set up before. There should have been no wiggle room. That's because apparently there was, and they were still discussing this 3 weeks up to the fight.
Not only that, but they created the beast. I mean, we've talked about it before. You created your beast here when you started giving him whatever he wanted.
Yeah, and this is like the UFC is going to get to a point where it has to deal with the fighters being larger than life, and their policy is still no fighter is bigger than the UFC. But eventually we're going to get to a point, this isn't it yet, but it's close, where they're going to have to reevaluate and see what to do, because the UFC does not want to lose control of any of these fighters. They don't want to lose the independent contractorship. They don't want an Ali Act. They don't want all of this stuff because they want control over everything. It's just so much easier, and it's also a lot cheaper. So this McGregor story will continue to mold, develop, and do all these things. But for now, they've obviously locked in. This is going to be UFC 200. It's the best top-to-bottom card, at least from a fight standpoint, that I've ever seen. And I think you might agree with me on this one, right? Because this card is insane.
But again, I feel like they are stretching themselves, I won't say so thin because they have a lot of great talent on the fight, but as far as, I guess, name fighters, they're starting to stretch themselves a little bit thin with injuries and everything, and I don't know if they might have bitten off a little more than they can chew with some of these cards, because some of these cards coming up, and we'll get into some of them later, is just there's not a lot on them. I mean, there's a lot of good talent and things like that, but nothing that makes me say, oh, I got to watch that.
Really? That's something we should definitely get into, because when you see UFC 198 and UFC 199.
Well, I mean, when you get to the pay-per-views and things like that, yeah, I mean, I'm talking about, like, now they're throwing out the UFCs on Foxes, all these. Those cards are almost, it's like going to see, and I hate to say it because I was an independent wrestler, it's like going to see independent wrestling.
All right, then let's jump into that. Let's go. Let's talk about we'll preview UFC Fight Night Rotterdam with Alistair Overeem, Andrei Arlovsky later on in the show. But let's go into the fights that were announced for the first Fox card following UFC 200, because we had two of them officially announced. One is basically all but set in stone, but hasn't been announced by the promotion yet. Holly Holm and Valentina Shevchenko is the one that hasn't been announced yet, but that will be headlining UFC on Fox 20 in Chicago at the United Center. Always a great venue, always a great atmosphere. Holly Holm, Valentina Shevchenko is the headliner on a card that features Anthony Rumble Johnson and Glover Teixeira, as well as Edson Barbosa and Gil Melendez.
Yep.
Before we get into anything, is it a little weird that Holm Shevchenko is headlining this card?
To me, yes.
Okay.
I mean, again, if I'm like, but I mean, and, I've been, listening to other people kind of talking about this and everything, and when I first saw it, I'm like, why, she's gonna fight this, who's 1-1 in the octagon and things like that. It feels like, again, I think where my issue lies is with the talent pool, as far as they got good name talent, but they don't market a lot of this talent. So you don't know some of this talent. So when you see it, it looks like they're just throwing people in just to make fights.
Yeah, like we know who these people are.
Yeah, but a casual.
But the fans.
It's just like, who? Wait, she was a champion last show. Now you have her fighting somebody who's 1-1. Nobody understands that some of these, they got good talent. They just don't market all their talent. They market only certain individuals. And I think maybe that's where my issue is when you look at some of these fights is, I guess, the sex appeal, the sexiness of them doesn't show to a casual fan. And these are going to be on the channels that your casual fans will be tuning into.
Mm-hmm. They're banking on Holly Holm's name selling this fight. That's why she's headlining them. That's definite number one.
Yeah, but I think like more people would know Rumble Johnson. Well, again, maybe not casual fans, but most anybody that knows MMA.
Fox cards before.
Yeah,
he did in the last one in Newark. So it's a very weird setup because Holly Holm, obviously, co-main event headliner with McGregor in the fight against Miesha Tate. Headlining against Ronda Rousey. Holly Holm's name definitely deserves to be up there as a headliner or a co-headliner for a pay-per-view. I have no problem with her headlining a network television card. The problem is she's fighting Shevchenko, who just lost to Amanda Nunes in a fight that was on that same card at UFC 196, that honestly wasn't very impressive. Now, she beat Sarah Kaufman, UFC on Fox Orlando this past December. She's 1-1 in the UFC. She's 12-2 in MMA. I just think this is a very weird, for her to get headline billing with not doing all that much in the UFC. And I know Holly Holm's only had 4 fights in the UFC. Like, we forget about that. Like, she had the 2 fights, then she fought Rousey, won out of nowhere, and then lost to Miesha. So she's kind of jumped up.
Yeah, well, it goes back to what I'm saying is, like, they kind of just market to people as they make a name. Holm would still be on the shelf if she didn't shock the world and beat Rousey. Let's be honest about this.
Oh, completely. Like she wouldn't nearly be this. I mean, she was a media darling after beating Ronda, and now this is like if she goes like we still don't know how good Holly Holm is, even after losing to Miesha Tate. We still don't know how good she is. That was the whole build-up.
I think you saw like you see the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Her first two fights was like, whoa, no way. Then you saw her put it all together against Rousey, and then you saw her kind of take a step back against Tate.
Yeah, it's just a weird setup for me, especially with Rumble Johnson and Glover Teixeira on that card, because the winner of that fight is the new light heavyweight contender. I mean, if John Jones beats Cormier, the winner of this fight fights John Jones, probably at Madison Square Garden. That's the way I see it, just set up.
And then that's
Cormier
the
wins,
undercard
then they'll
to Holm.
they'll do Cormier Jones 3. But Rumble Johnson and Glover Teixeira is a fantastic, like, just. I'd pay for that as the pay-per-view headliner. Like, take my money.
But again, I think where they look at it is, look, we're not casual fans. We'll probably watch any fights that we can watch.
Yes.
But they think that, the casual fans don't know Rumble Johnson, Glover Teixeira. So we got to throw the Holly Holm on this, like the frosting on the cupcake. And it's things like that where now you have this fight that to me just means nothing. I mean, if Holm wins, okay, she's expected to win. She loses, and what? I mean, it just doesn't. Again, and maybe it's me being spoiled by years of wrestling and everything else like that. But I always think the main event should mean something. There's a reason you're the main event, not just because you're a household name or you're the darling or you're the girl next door or your fight means something, and it's going to lead into something else, which is what the Rumble Johnson fight does.
Absolutely.
Whereas Holly Holm and them, what's next for them? We don't know.
And it's funny because, as you mentioned, whoever wins at 200 between Jones and Cormier should be sitting cage side for this. And then there's ways to market this and there's ways to do it. And it seems like the UFC is failing in that department. And like Conor McGregor joked about, why is my belt not on the poster? Like, and they'll throw these things out, like when he was supposed to fight Rafael dos Anjos. But like these are the little things that like the UFC is missing.
Well, I think what they do is they do great with individual fighters, but they miss on like the event.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what it is. And this is, like we said, the sport's never been healthier. The sport's never been better when it comes to the level of talent in it. And they're just it's just a weird look.
But isn't it funny that they say no fighter is bigger than the UFC, but all they do is really build up the fighter, not the UFC event? Yeah. It's almost like they go backwards on what they're saying. Yeah.
It's weird. I don't like it, but
marketing
that card, that UFC on Fox card in July is pretty awesome, considering the fact that you get Rumble and Glover Teixeira and Edson Barbosa and a returning El Nino Gilbert Melendez.
I'm not saying every card is bad. Again, maybe I misspoke because now that I'm thinking about it, but I just think that like a lot of these cards, like, and again, you get this one right after UFC 200. It seems like there's spots where they're like, it's almost like for anybody listening to us here on the Full Mount MMA podcast, that WWE, when you get around WrestleMania, things are going to happen. That Raw after WrestleMania, is going to be good. It's almost like, okay, there's our UFC 200. Well, now the next event after UFC 200, we got to make sure we stick that one. But then what happens to the next event and things like that? As it goes down, it seems like you get these events where it's just like, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, they are for certain, like, there's an up and down. They have to market and do what they want to do with the calendar and the way it shapes out and everything, because they have all these dates and they have all these things that they want to hit, but they don't want to spread themselves too thin. And that's what they're in danger in with overloading. I mean, I think through July is an amazing setup. I disagree with you completely. You get UFC 198, which is possibly as big as 200.
Well, no, I think the UFC, like the pay-per-view events, but this event tomorrow.
Okay,
the event tomorrow. Are you? We're recording this on a Saturday. I apologize for anybody that the event Sunday.
Yes.
Nothing there. I mean, there's some matches that are intriguing.
There's 2 fights to me that I care about in this card.
Okay. All right, and I'm sure we'll discuss them in a little bit, but I'm just saying there's nothing there that's going to make me, if I didn't know anything about the UFC, even as I'm turning through the channels, go, let me watch this.
Really?
There's not. No.
Okay.
Orlovsky and Overeem, it's just nothing there that just says, hey, all right.
Well, how about this? Anybody listening to the podcast right now, you can tweet at us at the Full Mount. Any questions you have, next time we'll talk about it. We'll answer. We'll talk about the UFC's direction of where they want to go after this fight, because there's a major pay-per-view next weekend with UFC 198. You can subscribe to the podcast. If you just found us on YouTube, you found us on Podomatic, you found us on the internet somewhere, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Just go to the podcast app, search TFM Live, comes up immediately, and comment, review us, rate us, do all that good stuff. Let us know what you think about the UFC's direction, what they want to do with UFC 200, all that good stuff, because that's what we want to find out, is how do fans, if you're one of these hardcore fans or when you're one of these casual fans, like, oh, the fight's on, cool. We want to get your perspective on these things. So let us know in the comments on the podcast, on YouTube, at the Full Mount on Twitter, all of that good stuff. As far as UFC 197, really didn't get to talk about it that much because we were out last week. Mighty Mouse is amazing. I think we can all agree on this at this point, Sean. Like, he's the best pound for pound fighter in the UFC, and possibly in all mixed martial arts.
Yeah, and it goes to what we discussed, and when we had the thing on the FullMountMMA.com, you can check out an article that we did there where, what's next for him.
Dominic Cruz?
It's got to be a super fight, right? Because there's nobody left in the top 3 contenders are 0-5, and I don't think have any of them made it out of first.
I think like we've seen guys go deep in the rounds, and we've seen decisions with Mighty Mouse, but it's been outclassed, and we thought Henry Cejudo actually had a shot.
I did. I thought, if he could get him down and frustrate him, but hey, I guess Mighty Mouse said, hey, I know what he's going to try to do. Here's what I'm going to do. And
Mighty Mouse beat Henry Cejudo at his own game. Henry Cejudo is an Olympic gold medalist wrestler. That's insane. That is completely and utterly insane how good Demetrius Johnson is. And it's unbelievable how this guy can be so good at so many different things, and if you don't gain an appreciation for him, you're just missing the boat on this. Just because if you look at him and say, oh, yeah, he's only 125 pounds. Well, he's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and people better take notice of that beyond a shadow of a doubt. We talked about Jones and OSP. Edson Barbosa beating Anthony Pettis, to me, was one of the biggest things to take away from 197, even more so than Mighty Mouse just being Mighty Mouse. Anthony Pettis is mentally messed up right now when it comes to being in the octagon. And Barbosa, I mean, I always make the jokes on Twitter, at BCoyle11. You can follow me there. Sean at us at Sports Talk, and we go back and forth on this. Edson Barbosa is a kicking machine, and my God, what he did to Anthony Pettis, it like paralyzed him. He couldn't move. He couldn't do what he wanted to do. He was like just mental. He had a mental blockage where he couldn't fire off. And man, he got beat up. And Barbosa looked the best he ever has in his career. Well, Pettis, a former champion, has lost 3 in a row now.
Yeah. That's
the way to put it.
It's amazing how quickly things change. It just.
What do you think it is with Pettis? Is it like physically, like he's being beaten down, or is this a mental thing? Because to me, it looks like a mental thing.
Well, I think it becomes a mental thing. I think, again, fighting is a very. I mean, as much as everybody says, the physical, there's a lot of mental that goes into this. I mean, completely. How many times have you been like? I mean, just think about in a I don't know, when you played youth basketball or something, you took a hard elbow to the chest or something. Were you going back through the middle there? Now these guys are stepping in an octagon. They've been fighting all this time. Some of these guys, have outclassed most of their talent. Now they're getting in there with the top, the talent and things like that. And, sometimes, you just start questioning yourself, even though you shouldn't be.
No, because, this is the guy who did the Showtime kick. This is the guy who's a former lightweight champion in the most loaded division in the UFC. It's a shocking, he's been declawed. He's been defanged. It's so weird to see Anthony Pettis fight the way he has been. I don't get it. I really don't.
You start questioning the training. You start questioning everything. That's part of the mental thing. You start questioning everything you've been doing. And look, mental is a big part of this game. Yeah, you can have all the skills. You can have all the, all the best training. You can have everybody in your corner. You can have this and everything. But when that octagon, you got to be able to step in there and put it all together. And there is a mental aspect to this game that hurts a lot of fighters because, talent-wise, physical-wise, everything else, they could be at the top of their game, but they step in and they don't have it between the ears, or they're not, able to make those adjustments in the fight. It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's just such a weird setup for Pettis right now, and it's really a shame because the guy was on an absolute tear, and now it's a mental thing. It's a completely a mental thing, and I don't know what he's going to do to fix it. Because he was with Duke Rufus. He went to Jackson Wink to do some stuff. He's got the best teachers in the world.
And the fact that he gets those teachers says something about the talent he has, because they don't just work just because you walk in off the street and say, "Hey, I want to work with you." They don't just say, "Okay."
Yeah, it's something else. I don't get it. Yair Rodriguez and Robert Whitaker's wins from 197 were impressive as well. I'm a big Whitaker guy. I don't know what the commentary team was thinking during that fight against Rafael Natal, because they were saying, it's a 2-1 fight. I just saw Robert Whitaker beat him up for 3 rounds, and then he got kicked in the leg a couple times, and it nullified his leg. But, Whitaker looks great in the middleweight division. I'd love to see him fight a really big name up at middleweight to test him, because he's slowly climbing the ranks against guys that aren't exactly the most elite prospects in that division. And Yair Rodriguez, that was a show-stopping knockout of Andre, second best name in the UFC, touchy-feely. So 197 to me was a fun pay-per-view. Was it worth the money? It all depends on what you think of Mighty Mouse, I think, at that point, because he delivered.
Yeah, I think your casual fan's going to say no, and your UFC hardcore fan is going to be like, it delivered.
Yeah, we got to see the greatest UFC fighter today in action. So
Mighty Mouse.
Yeah. Mouse in the house. You don't want to mess with him. Trust me, man, he can go. Let me take a quick break here. We've got a couple more things to talk about. We'll talk about UFC Rotterdam and the fight that Sean doesn't care about, apparently, Andrei Arlovski and Alistair Overeem. We're going to have a good debate on that, because I'm going to tell you why you should care about it, Sean.
I look forward to this.
We did a 3 and out this week, the most overrated fighter in the UFC, and I just want to get this out of the way. It wasn't a forum to take a shot at somebody.
It wasn't? I misunderstood it. I'm sorry.
we did underrated 2 weeks ago, and we have to do overrated. It wasn't a personal thing. It's just when you look at a fighter and where they've gotten, what talent that they have, and all that. We'll break it down. We'll explain there. Remember, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. We're gonna keep saying it so you guys can find out where to go. Subscribe to it on iTunes. You can comment, rate us, review us. If you think we're terrible, tell us that. Tell us what we can do better. If you think we're awesome, that would actually brighten up my day. I don't get a lot of compliments when it comes to that, Sean. You say really bad things about me off air, so.
I know the mics were on. I'm sorry, man. I'll try to clean it up. I'll clean it up on my end.
You can find us on YouTube. Just search thefullmountmma.com. or the Full Mount MMA, excuse me, at the Full Mount on Twitter, at bcoil11, at us at Sports Talk. Tweet at us. Let us know what you think. Your stuff will get on the show. Easy, no problem with that. So we'll be right back here on TFM Live, the official podcast of the FullMountMMA.com.
For all your latest news and rumors of the UFC, go to the FullMountMMA.com. Now back to the TFM Live podcast. Here's Brian Coyle and Sean Stanley.
Welcome back, everybody, to TFM Live, the official podcast of the FullMountMMA.com. Brian Coyle and Sean Stanley here. And Sean, I teased it as we went to break. Overrated fighters in the UFC. We did a 3 and out on it. You decided on Uriah Faber. Tell me why.
Man's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He's fighting for a title? Really? I mean, let's live on the WEC name a little longer, can we?
Oh, man. I mean, I agree with you. They made the Faber-Cruz fight because of the history between them. I don't know what Uriah Faber exactly did to deserve the title shot. To me,
I think they were throwing a shot at Dillashaw by giving him a title shot.
And Dillashaw didn't like. I wanted Cruz Mighty Mouse. That's what I wanted after Cruz beat Dillashaw.
Mm-hmm.
That obviously did not happen. And if Cruz beats Faber, I still want it to happen. Dillashaw Rafael Assunção has been rumored for 200, which I think is a great fight because we haven't seen Assunção in a while because he's been hurt. And Dillashaw can go back and kind of regain his momentum against the top 5 opponent. The problem with the bantamweight division right now is you have Aljamain Sterling, you have Thomas Almeida, you have guys like that who haven't done exactly enough to deserve a title shot.
Wait a minute, what do you mean they haven't done enough to deserve a title shot? Holly Holm got a title shot.
Well, I mean, if you reply...
What has Uriah Faber done to get a title shot? I mean, really? That's how you got to market and make talent.
They haven't beaten, Holly Holm did not deserve a title shot when she got one, obviously. But Ronda had cleared out the entire division, so it kept going down.
I think UFC has backed themselves in the corner because listen to this now. Let's just look. I know we say there's never I know you love to say that there's no chance that they win this. What if Faber wins?
Oh man.
What if Faber wins?
And now he's yeah.
I mean, the only thing that they'll do is and now you got Dillashaw fighting the Sunset at 200. What if Dillashaw loses? Their ultimate thing, I think, is this, okay? Either Dillashaw wins at 200 and then he either gets the revenge match with Faber for the title.
Or the revenge match with Cruz.
Cruz is for the title. But I mean, that's what I'm guessing is what they're trying to do here.
Yeah.
But what if plans don't go awry? This is where the thing goes where they say fighters are not bigger than the UFC, but then they book it to where they make the fighters bigger than the UFC.
It's a very, again, to come out, they haven't come out and explicitly say it, but from articles and from reports that we trust, that has been the mantra. And it's just so weird given the fact that your product is fighters. But
and the way you book them, I mean, again, look, WWE books WrestleMania. That's the biggest event. Yeah, there's big matches on there, but most of it is the event.
And they can predetermine the results.
No, they can
figure it out.
They can. But I think that makes this even bigger. This UFC 200, if you would have. Again, I think with the way they're doing this scheduling and these fights, like almost every week there's a fight. I think you start spreading yourself thin. It was such great pay-per-views, and there are still some great pay-per-views and some great fights. But I thought every time a pay-per-view came on, it was must-see. And now there's some that goes, okay, I want to see that fight on there. But not so much that fight. But before, from top to bottom, every fight on the pay-per-view made you want to watch it because of the setup or how it was, what it could lead to. And now it just feels like, okay, they just throw a fight on there to throw a fight on there.
It's coming down to the fighters are fighting more. And that's why we have more injuries, and that's why we see all this stuff. And the schedule is getting a little grueling. So they're going to have to be careful the way they book. And with Faber, I mean, does he deserve a title shot at bantamweight? No. Is he the biggest name at bantamweight besides Dominic Cruz, or even bigger than Dominic Cruz? Yes. That's why he's in the spot he's in. Now, I wanted to get your take on my most overrated fighter. And that would be Ryan Bader. Nothing against him.
No, yeah, but I mean, I think you hit it right on, man. But go ahead.
He had a 5-fight winning streak from 2013 to 2015. He beat Anthony Peros, who's retired, Rafael Cavalcante, who was just recently released, a green Ovin St. Preux, a declining Rashad Evans, and Phil Davis, who's now in Bellator. But Phil Davis is a good fighter. So, and that was in a split decision. And this guy was being rumored as a title contender. And I'm just looking around going, does anybody else see this? Like, is this guy really deserving of a title shot? In October, when Cormier fought Gustafsson, they were talking about Bader being the guy.
Yeah, didn't he do a walk-in on one of the press conferences or something too?
Yeah.
Wasn't that Bader that did that?
Yeah. And I'm like, he's good. Who's he beaten? And then he goes up against Rumble and gets the hell knocked out of him.
You know what I call that?
Bader's an All-American wrestler. He goes to the ground. Rumble stuffs it like it's nothing. Punches him square in the face. Ground and pound. He's done within a minute and a half. And I'm like, this guy was supposed to be a number one contender? Like, let's get real here.
I call that Faberitis because he can't step up in the big situations.
But Uriah Faber is a big name. Like, at least I get where the UFC is coming from.
No, what big fights has he won since he's gotten? Every time, if you look at his record, when it steps up in the competition lately, his record's not there, man. When you look at the losses,
well, he
go through his wins and losses. When you go through his wins and losses, okay, fine, right here, okay, Renan Barao.
Renan Barao again, Cruz, Aldo. Like every loss that he has was either a WEC title fight or a UFC title fight, with the exception of Frankie Edgar.
But it's a step up in talent.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing you're saying with Bader. Like, he's okay against, he's good against the thing, but when he gets in there in the spotlight, and he doesn't perform.
Yeah, and then to me, it's just like I just couldn't wrap my head around the fact that, like, Ryan Bader's this number one contender guy. He's a good fighter. But he's got to beat somebody.
The worst part about it is Uriah Faber could probably take me and put me into a pretzel quicker than I could.
Oh yeah.
I could tell him why I thought he was overrated. But that's beside the point, and that's why I'm behind the microphone.
Yeah, this is why we do this and they do that.
That's right.
We evaluate this and write and analyze and all this stuff, and that's why they fight.
Yep.
I would love to be proven wrong, but now he's got to go out and do something to make that impact in the light heavyweight division.
So far, that hasn't happened.
That's what it comes down to. And then the mysterious TFM staff, as I like to call it, wrote Vitor Belfort as his most overrated fighter, and the fact that, I mean, Belfort with the testosterone replacement therapy and all this stuff, and he was the Phenom before, and that one I understand, because I mean, he's ranked very high in the middleweight division right now.
Yeah,
number 3, ahead of a guy like Whitaker, ahead of Bisping. I mean, Lyoto Machida is dropping like a fly after the positive PED test. Tim Kennedy, I'd love to see him fight again. Like, it's been a while, it feels like, since Tim Kennedy fought.
Yeah, it has, hasn't it? Or how long's it been since he fought last?
I'm looking it up right now, because the last time he fought was September of 2014. Wow. That was against Yoel Romero when he got knocked out.
Okay.
So, I mean, in the middleweight division, I guess where Vitor is kind of where he belongs, but
isn't that on name?
Weidman, what?
That's more on name, right? I mean,
yeah,
not out of performance lately.
Tore him up in that title fight, like easy. With the exception of that, like 2 punches he got in, and all of a sudden Weidman swarmed him. And when you look at the guys he's beaten, he did beat Bisping back in 2013, but 2013 he beat Rockhold 2013. Okay. He beat Henderson 2013, and then didn't fight for a while because of the TRT and all this stuff. And he beat Dan Henderson again. And Dan Henderson, as much as we love him, probably shouldn't be fighting anymore against elite level talent, or maybe at this point
any talent.
He gets Jacare Souza next week. If the Gator comes and slams shut on Vitor Belfort, we got our answer on what kind of fighter he is. But if he beats Jacare, then I think we got a whole new ballgame with him. I don't think he will, but
yeah, you said that about somebody else before too. I've
said that about a lot of things, and this is the worst thing about actually recording what we talk about, because it comes back to bite me. You know what?
Yes.
Way too many times. But those are our overrated fighters. If you have somebody that you think is overrated, you can tweet at us at The Full Amount. You can comment on the YouTube. This will be up as a YouTube video, so comment below on what you think is the most overrated fighter. If you are a big Ryan Bader fan, you're a big Uriah Faber fan, Vitor Belfort fan, tell us why we're wrong. If you're Uriah Faber or Ryan Bader or Vitor Belfort, please tell us why we're wrong.
Yeah,
We'd
please
love to
tell
have
us
you on the show to talk about it.
Tell us why we're wrong. Don't show us, just tell us.
Yes. Wait, I feel like that's backwards. I don't know.
Well, no. I mean, don't show us like to us. Just if you go in the octagon and show us, that's fine. Don't take it out on us. All right.
It's all right. We'll get it right eventually. All right. So moving on. Let's close this out talking about the fight that Sean apparently does not care about, but I care about very much. Alistair Overeem and Andrei Arlovsky headline the UFC's maiden voyage into Rotterdam, Netherlands.
I mean, where are they going to go next? What are we doing here? What are we doing?
So this card, the fights that I care about, Gunnar Nelson is back after being. I think he's finally unraveled himself from the pretzel that Damian Maia put him in.
That is one of the fights that I am kind of looking forward to.
Against Einstein, Albert Tumanov. It's a big fight for Gunny here. After going against Maia and kind of getting just completely shut down, I'd like to see him do something against Tumanov. What do you think about this fight?
No, I agree. He's got to come out and get that. Because Maia just, I'm at a loss for words what Maia did to him, but it's going to be, he's got to get up to his game here. And looking at the strike, it's going to be strike and grappling, so it's going to be interesting to see how this rolls out. Because every time we talk about that, it seems like it goes the other way around.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, he's going to use, and then it's like, wait a minute, why is he just standing up? And it just, I don't know if it's the ego of the fighter there, but to me, I'm looking forward. This is the one fight on here that I was like, okay, I want to see this fight.
Okay. The co-main event of the evening, Antonio Bigfoot Silva against Stefan Struve. If you like tall people, this is the fight for you. Man, Bigfoot, I don't know how, like, the heavyweight division at the bottom is that, like, these kind of guys that we see fight. I really can't get excited about this. I mean, Stefan Struve was such an intriguing prospect because of the health problems, he hasn't really developed to his full potential, let's say. And Bigfoot is obviously on his last legs of his career. It's going to be cool looking at these two guys fighting each other. Just the optics of it is really awesome. But if this goes past the first, maybe even the second, like if this gets in late into the second round, this is going to be one of those fights where you're like, somebody knock somebody out here. Like that's the way it goes for that one. Are you excited about this one?
This is the way I look at it. As soon as the loss is done, as soon as it's over, they need to go in the ring and give the pink slip to the loser.
Wow. That is harsh, man. That is bad. All right. Well, let's move on to I
think that the fight again. This is where I'm getting at with these. This is the co-main event. Again, maybe it's because I look at it as I want my co-main event and main event to mean something, and you're just throwing me Stefan Struve and Bigfoot Silva. I don't get it.
All right. Well, the main event to me means a hell of a lot.
Okay, hold on. Let me ask you this real quick, okay? Because you know you kind of look like you side-eyed me there with that snicker you had there. So, what does the winner get out of this fight? What, he gets to stay in the UFC longer, right? That's pretty much it.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I mean, it's like this should be the first match of the night.
It's here. The reason why this fight, I mean, Stefan Struve, the Netherlands. This is the marketing here, and Bigfoot's been in the UFC for a long time. So this is why you make this fight. Do I agree it should be the co-main event? No, not at all. Like I don't think that, because they're not. But this is an FS1 card. This is the quote unquote lowest card you could have because of pay-per-views and Fox and FS1.
No,
I mean, the Fight Pass cards sometimes are better than this.
Exactly. The Fight Pass cards are usually better than this. So you're telling me you're very excited about this card?
Yes, because of Alistair Overeem and Andrei Arlovski.
That fight means nothing.
That fight means nothing. You could have the heavyweight contender come out of this fight.
Yeah, if Overeem wins,
fantastic.
If Overeem wins, you get your contender out of the fight. If Arlovski wins, what? Now
Then
it's even a
heavyweight
bigger
gets
jumble
murkier.
mess. The over heavyweight division.
Heavyweight gets even crazier than it is right now. But to me, I mean, you have Velasquez and Travis Brown going at it. And, I mean, JDS looked freaking great against Ben Rothwell. So I see JDS taking on the winner of this fight. Or, I mean, if it's Arlovski, then we get to Junior Dos Santos and Arlovski. But if Overeem, to me, has looked fantastic, and he's found his groove again. But this is a big time for Arlovski, because if he comes out and gets knocked out in the first round, it's like, oh, here we go again. Miocic knocked him out, and then Overeem knocks him out. I want to see these two guys throw down. I mean, the veteran matchup to me is intriguing. Arlovski, I mean, he's the pit bull for a reason. But he has to fight differently against Overeem because he's Overeem's so tactical, and he can just throw that one bomb that will knock you out. Both guys have weaker jaws than you would expect.
You can call it glass jaws. You can call them glass jaws.
I didn't want to go there, but you did. So you.
I'm just not excited. I mean, look. I mean, I know. You know, I just do not understand. And I mean, look. Yes, you can get your heavyweight contender out of this fight. Yes, Arlovski can, I guess, throw his name somewhere in the hat. I mean, I guess he'll get one ball in the lottery where everybody else has like 50 if he gets the win here. But, yeah. I mean, there's nothing there that says, okay.
Same gym. I mean, they're teammates, but not really.
And this is the other thing too. Is
both coaches are going to be in Arlovski's corner?
Yeah. How does that work? Come on, man. This is like, what is this?
I think it's cool. I like it.
Oh my goodness! You need to become a pitchman for UFC because they're not selling this at all.
I like watching Alistair Overeem fight. I like watching Andrei Arlovski fight because we've seen the best round possibly in recent heavyweight history between him and Travis Brown. So if you're going to tell me I'm going to get that, maybe, if Arlovski can pull Overeem into this slugfest that's going to leave somebody on the canvas by the end of round one, sign me up. If they're going to go into the fourth round trying to knock each other out, then you have an argument against it. But to me, this is an awesome heavyweight fight. And for it headlining in the Netherlands, it works. If it was a bigger card, it would have been a co-main event.
Yeah, I guess.
I like the way it's set up. And if you're going to have an event like this, and you're going to do it in the Netherlands, and you're going to have it on a Sunday at 2 o'clock Eastern time, this is like hardcore fans are like, oh yeah, Overeem and Arlovski are fighting. That's cool. They're appealing to the international demographic. That's what they're doing here, and that's what they'll get. That's why you put Overeem and Arlovski in this fight. I think it's gonna be cool. I think Overeem wins by round one knockout. What do you think happens? Do you even care? This is a
Oh,
better
look,
question.
I mean, I care because, this is what we do. I do care.
Yes.
But, I mean, I hope Overeem, for the heavyweight division's sake, I hope Overeem wins in the first round.
Okay.
But
But
there is, this is how bad it is. I'm watching FS1 last night. You know how much? You know how many spots this had?
How many?
3. In a 3-hour span, I saw 3 15-second spots advertising this.
Huh. That's a little interesting.
It said Overeem, Arlovsky, Fox Sports
That's
1, Tuesday or Sunday, 2:00. It's like, that's it? That's all you got? Okay.
And by the way, I'm looking at the UFC's official Twitter page right now. They just put up the weigh-in video of Stefan Struve and Bigfoot Silva. Nobody's ever made Bigfoot Silva look small except for Stefan Struve. This is incredible video here. Like, I recommend everybody go check it out because Stefan Struve's like legit 5 inches taller than Bigfoot. A guy named Bigfoot is the shortest fighter in the fight. It's just for optics alone. I'm telling you, it's a fun little thing. I mean, it is Mother's Day tomorrow, so maybe that wasn't the best idea to put this card on Mother's Day.
Yeah,
but
that's what Mom wants to see. Maybe that's why they put this card on Mother's Day. Nobody's going to watch it anyways.
is Mother's Day strictly an American holiday?
You know what? I don't know that. Maybe we just,
I don't know the answer to that question.
Let's reach out to our friends here and let us know. Do you celebrate Mother's Day?
If you know the answer to that question, write into us at the Full Mount on Twitter and comment on our YouTube, iTunes, or the article that will be up on the fullmountmma.com and all that. Because, man, this is the most heated you've ever been about a Fox Sports 1 card that I've ever seen.
I look at these cards and I agree with the pay-per-view cards and I also understand what they have to do because when you're selling a card like that, a pay-per-view card, you got to put. But to me, it seems like they're just kind of throwing fights together to build up your FS1, your Fight Pass, your Fox cards. And maybe after 200 and maybe because of injuries and because now they're trying to get all these fights. But why do you have to have an 11-fight card? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's fair.
Maybe they cut it down a little bit and make it a smaller amount of cards. Then maybe you get some of these bigger – it's not going to be the bigger fights because you're still going to have your bigger fights on the top of the card. Yeah. But, I mean, then why not start producing some of these younger guys that are fighting on your Fight Pass, your Fox Sport 1 – and build them up so then when they do make it to the card, it's not like you're looking at somebody going, okay, this guy's 6-0, but I've never even heard of him.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, why don't we wrap it up here because I'm afraid to even ask you about Tyron Woodley possibly getting the next title shot at welterweight at this point for 201 because that's supposedly in the works, but Ariel Helwani of MMAfighting.com threw cold water on it. And that's a fight that seems to have divided opinions on it as well about Woodley not fighting in a while and getting a title shot at welterweight.
Well, so that's what you do right now, right? You sit at home, you wait. They'll call you for a title shot sooner or later. Or hey, better yet, why don't you go out there and just lose, 2 out of 5, and then hey, just because you got enemies with both of you two guys, you get a fight. Title shot. Why not?
On that note, we want to thank you guys for listening to a spirited edition of TFM Live, the official podcast of the FullMountMMA.com. You can find us online, like I mentioned, thefullmountmma.com, at the Full Mount on Twitter, at BCoyle11 for me on Twitter, at SS Sports Talk for Sean. If you guys want to talk any UFC, MMA, or any sports in general, because we have other jobs that we cover other sports as well. So feel free to tweet us for that. You can find us on YouTube. Just search the Full Mount MMA on YouTube. It will pop right back up so you can see little segmented portions of the podcast. If you don't have all the time to listen to the whole podcast on your commute or anything like that, it will be chopped up in little bite-sized pieces, topic by topic, that you can easily digest whenever you want. Find us on iTunes, subscribe to the podcast, rate and review us on iTunes. That's how we pop up in the little iTunes feed so more people can find out about the podcast. So thank you guys for that. Sean, do you have anything else you want to say? Anybody else you want to bury before the podcast is over?
None at all. I want to thank you for spending a heated hour with me here, and for our listeners for tuning in. And make sure you check out thefullmountmma.com, at the Full Mount on Twitter.
All right. Thank you. For Sean, I am Brian. We will see you next week here on TFM Live, the official podcast of thefullmountmma.com.
The TFM Live podcast is brought to you by thefullmountmma.com. Check us out on Twitter at The Full Mount.